Game begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is review number 700 with our double feature review of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I'm Christopher Schnese.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
And for joining us for the first time, the Spoiler Warning Podcast is a weekly film review program. Each week in the show, we're going to dive in, debate, discuss, and argue over the latest films coming to a theater near you. This week, it is our 700th episode. A long time ago, in, a time in the before times, we had a 600th episode. And, we hadn't really planned ahead of time on what we were going to do. And we decided as a lark, we would take that 600th episode and we would review a double feature of kids' films where Stephen and I had both not seen the original installment. And we figured we're just going to go back, rent the original, come back, watch the new one, which at that time, that must have been the beginning of the pandemic. And that one was like one of the first big streaming at home ones that you could watch. Yeah. And then we did that double feature review and we had fun. This time around for the 700th episode, we also hadn't planned ahead, but we were like, hey, 700th, looking at the release calendar, the second Sonic the Hedgehog film. Why don't we just do a retread of what we did with the Trolls films? And
I think we planned it live on air, though I don't remember if you cut it out of the end of the episode or not.
Truth be told, I haven't yet cut it out of the end of the episode because I haven't edited the 699th episode yet. Just because I was moving and traveling. But yeah, we got all kinds of things going on. I am recording from a new location for the first time to celebrate the 700th episode. 700 has 2 zeros. The zeros are like rings, and the rings are significant to Sonic. So, there's just all kinds of things that we are doing, Stephen. We're drinking out of pint glasses that are rings as well. I mean, just the things that we have lined up to make this thing last is just... can't even be numbered.
Fantastic.
But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, what is your history with the franchise?
Well, I'll get into that, but before I get into Sonic, in honor of episode 700, I wanted us to play a little game, which is an idea that I had about 1 hour ago and made Chris delay recording so I could frantically put this together.
Great.
Are you up for a spoiler warning game?
I'm always up. I wish there were more people so that I could not fail horribly at the spoiler warning game.
It's okay. I don't know if I would succeed at it either, but I tried. Okay, so basically every morning for a while, I've been playing a bunch of things like Wordle, Quordle, Frame.io, and one of them is called the box office game, where you get clues about movies opening in a given weekend. You can kind of pay for clues, and then in the end, you have to name that movie. Now, I thought it would be fun to do something kind of similar for the spoiler warning, but what I've done instead is I'm going to give you a little information about the movie, the episode number, the date we recorded it, what we both rated it, and I have a clip from the episode. And
okay,
you are going to tell me what movie we were talking about.
I assume that these clips, because you only came up with it a little while ago, these clips aren't exactly hand chosen, so it could literally be anything.
They are somewhat hand chosen.
Okay.
But yeah, not with the care and delicacy that I maybe would have liked had I had the idea more than an hour ago.
All right. How many of these are we trying to do?
We'll see. We'll see what your stamina is,
okay.
and how fast they go. I created like more than we will use probably.
Okay.
All right. Now I have just randomized the order. So some of them are going to be from like a few months ago. Some of them are going to be from years ago. I no longer know what the order is going to be. So the first one. All right. Actually, we'll start with an easier one. We'll start with one that was relatively recent that might give you like a good shot at like remembering the review.
Stephen, time has just completely changed in the world.
All right. We are going to start with episode 649 of the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is January 12th, 2021 that we released it.
Okay.
So the beginning of last year. You and I both gave it a must avoid on the podcast. It was a double must avoid review.
Man,
and
this should make it easy.
Exactly, a double must avoid. You would think that would be relatively easy, but let's see if I can cue the audio for this clip. I'm going must avoid. It's a bad movie. At the end.
Yeah. Must avoid for me as well. There is not a reason to see this film. Not even in like a it's so bad it's good sort of way. You should just not watch it, and probably not watch the third or fourth installments that are supposed to come out as well. The crazy thing is this clip is so misleading because like what is there that has third and fourth installments that isn't like a Star Wars or a Spider-Man, which
exactly.
Obviously,
I mean, it should be specific enough to give it away.
I feel like, but I'm trying to remember something that I hated. I feel like it could be one of those Amazon Prime horror films, but I don't know if the timing works out there. But that's my closest guess.
All right. That is incorrect. The answer is Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984.
Wow. All right. There you go.
All right. This next one is episode 577. This is November 13th, 2019. You gave it a recommend with caveat. I gave it a must-see. And the clip goes a little something like this.
So here's the thing about this film. I don't think I liked it, but I sure as hell enjoyed watching it.
All right. Can you name that movie? I know this is a hard challenge. I'm realizing now as I play this.
This is a very difficult challenge. So you gave it a must-see. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if I liked it or not.
Right. You gave it a recommend with a caveat, but you don't know if you liked it, but you had a damn good time watching it.
I have no clue.
That was The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers, in honor of The Northman coming up pretty soon. All right, let's see if we can get one. I think that'll make you feel better. I'm gonna do a couple that I pulled special for you, so I feel like you're gonna remember these. I feel like you will just by virtue of what the films mean to you. Let's do episode 419. This was July 19th, 2016. You and I both gave this movie a must-see, an easy must-see for episode 419. And the clip goes like this. And the highs of this movie are so high that I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Whatever they wanted to do, they did a really damn good job of it. Chris, how did you feel?
Well, I felt... no, just kidding. So the real question that everybody definitely wants to know is whether Carson's prediction is true, whether this is a film that was right up my alley. And to that, I will say that this was immensely up my alley. I feel like the sound clip that otherwise would have been edited out has to be the key there. There's two things that I would guess, but I'm forgetting the years. But I have to say this is probably Swiss Army Man.
That was Swiss Army Man. We got one.
It was either that or the one I love based on the Carson piece. But I was like, I guess that sound effect was supposed to be a farting corpse.
Yep. All right. Episode 498. So the year is 2018. It's April 18th, 2018. This is a movie that I gave a wait for rental. You gave a recommend with a caveat, but you did like it substantially more than I did. And we can listen to the clip. It has nice moments. I get what you like about it. I liked those things about it too. I enjoyed the two hotel scenes also.
These movies are the only meet and cute I get nowadays.
I just broke Chris's heart.
Oh, these clips are great. Hotel scenes.
I did handpick them a little bit. That's why I kept delaying recording.
Yeah. The 2 hotel scenes, and it's a movie that I liked more than you.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to allow you to ask for hints now if you truly desire them. Like, you can ask me, like, name an actor in the movie or something like that.
I feel like that's almost too close. Give me a genre.
I'm going to say, like, wistful rom-com. Question mark. One of the stars overlaps with the movies we are reviewing tonight.
Now I'm trying to think of what the hell. It is. Okay. It's a Netflix film.
Sure is.
Yeah. It's the one. Ben Schwartz is in it. And the other lady. What the hell is the name of this movie? I don't remember the name of it, but I got the movie.
Yeah, the movie is called Happy Anniversary, but
Happy
you certainly
Anniversary.
Got it. Yep, you found it. All right. We're going back just a little, actually a full year. We used to record fewer episodes a year than we do now. We're rolling back from 498 to 445, episode 445. This is March 27th, 2017. March 27th, 2017. You gave the movie both wait for rental and recommend with a caveat. I gave the movie a must-see. The clip for episode 445.
But it really made those heightened moments like stick in my craw.
So what was weird for me the second time through, obviously the first time through, it is very intense. The second time through, having knowledge of it, I can't speak about it without being spoilery, but I just say that like it unsettled me in a different kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it unsettled me more in like it was less threatening and spooky and more like fuck.
Yeah.
What is this? I'm trying to think of things that I went back and watched again.
Right.
That were theoretically spooky or just strange enough to be
Which you did wait
awesome.
for rental / recommend with a caveat. So not a movie you went back and watched again because you adored it.
Yeah. Because I know there have been movies that I've gone back and rewatched to try to give them a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
There are movies I rewatched because I felt guilty that I was like half asleep during them. But I can't think of one that gave me the fuck kind of feeling from it. Was this something? When was this again? This was.
Let's see. This was. I scrolled away from it. March 27th, 2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah. I am living in the bottom of the hill apartment. I have not yet met Joanna, but I'm about to. This was a period of time when we both did rather depressing reviews for a while, I think. The star of this movie was nominated for a Best Acting Award last year.
This is fucking. I can't remember the name of any movie, but this is the Kristen Stewart ghost movie.
Right. Yes. This is Personal Shopper. I'm going to count that. You got it. All right. I'm going to pick the next 2 movies. I know you know the names of them, so if you get them, if you know what they are, you will definitely get the movie. We're jumping forward into the future to episode 615. This is July 14th, 2020. So it's the summer of pandemic. We're still getting used to recording in lockdown. Nothing is theatrical anymore. You and I both gave this film a must-see. 2 must-see reviews for episode 615, which goes a little something like this. I think this movie is not only very, very funny, it is also very clever and pretty perfect in the times that it does want to do little emotional jabs at you. There is a scene involving creatures in the desert that was genuinely beautiful in this movie, out of nowhere, followed by nothing, preceded by nothing. Like, it just happened. And the movie just has this kind of sense of wonder.
It's so funny how in like completely random context, like
I know.
I'm like I would remember Creatures in the Desert,
Right.
but I don't.
And remember, this is COVID. This is early in COVID. Every review was kind of special, and we were like hand picking what to watch. 2 must-sees.
Creatures in the Desert. Creatures in the Desert.
I will say this film made both of our year-end lists, I believe.
That almost doesn't help me. Is this a festival film or was it a normal human film?
We did not attend the festival. We saw it when everyone else saw it.
Oh, okay. I know the creatures. The creatures are... actually, I don't even remember the creatures. I feel like they're brontosauruses. This has got to be Palm Springs, right?
Yep, you got it. You nailed it. All right. I swear we'll only do a few more, though I am having fun with this game. I wish I could have randomized it in a way where I would be put on the spot too, but unfortunately it only goes in one direction.
At least we know now for next year that we could play the game both directions.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had thought of it more ahead of time, I would have asked you to do the same to me, and then we would have alternated.
We could probably just like... We'll edit down some of the early ones where it's like, no clue, no clue, no clue. It'll be like one no clue, and then we'll be partially getting it moving forward.
Yep. All right. We're going back in time a little bit. The year is now, it's April 28th, 2019. So this is episode 556. Again, you and I both gave this movie a must-see. 2 must-sees in April 28th, 2019. Let's play the clip for episode 556. By the end of this experience, I'm going to know what happens, and that is exciting.
Yeah. I had almost maybe a semi opposite reaction. Like I was very, very excited already. When it came time to buy tickets, I was like, no, I need to get a good ticket that I can see early because I don't want anybody to spoil this for me. I was very, very excited, and I was getting excited to the point where I was like, this film can't possibly live up to the amount of excitement that I'm feeling.
I have a backup clip if you need a second hint.
I'm gonna need a second hint. But then the fact that like he meets himself, and I don't know why that scene worked so well for me. Like just the idea of him having to fight himself, being equally matched. There is something that I just really, really liked about the way that plays out, and it's like. The funny thing is, it should be so obvious.
I know. That's
is.
why I loved finding these hints. 2 must-sees from us. Big movie, April 28th, 2019.
Must-see. Fights himself.
Now, put yourself... I find with the box office game, too, it helps to think of where you were at this time. So April of 2019, we were doing Tribeca. So that is like the era that we're dealing with right here.
I was really excited.
Or no, I might be wrong. That might have been 2018. Yeah, I screwed you up. Sorry.
I know. I mean, like
after Tribeca.
The dates don't even help me because I can't bucket time that way. So I'm really just thinking, what was something that I was worried about not living up to my expectations, and somebody fought themselves, but I'm assuming themselves isn't literally themselves. It's like fighting the equivalent of themselves. Fighting somebody who is equally matched.
I'm here for any hints.
Is it a superhero film?
Yes.
Is it in the DCEU or whatever it's called?
No.
Okay, so it's in the other one?
I would say it is extremely in the other one.
Is this Civil War?
It's Endgame.
Endgame, okay.
You're in the right ballpark.
Okay.
All right.
Who was I talking about?
I assume when they go back in time, Captain America fights Captain America.
Literally fights himself. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think it was a 100% literal move. Okay. We'll do 2, then I'll be done. The year is 2020. It is December 23rd, 2020 that you released this movie, 2 days before Christmas in the pandemic. It is episode 646. You and I, again, both gave this movie a must-see. Let's play the clip.
Passing it over to you.
So going back to Ethan Hawke, you could say that the main character in First Reformed has very similar thoughts as one of the bad guys in this movie. But
About not bringing a kid into the world.
I think you're forgetting how First Reformed ends, and I'm not going to spoil it here.
Oh.
But I will admit that is a hard hint.
I love that your hint to me is when I misinterpreted the thing that you were trying to reference in the moment.
It was hard to find a clip of this episode that didn't directly talk about the movie.
But I feel like I remember this conversation, but I can't for the life of me remember which.
I will tell you, Dave Klein joined us in this episode to review the movie as well. And it was one of your favorite films, easily, of the year.
Is it Tenet?
It is Tenet.
Okay. I was like, Dave Klein was there. It was one of my favorites. I still don't get the First Reformed reference.
I think it was that the character decides, because the world is going to be destroyed, the only meaningful thing to do is to take the nuclear option and end life, because human beings are going to destroy everything.
Okay.
All right. My last two options that I'm debating between are both, I would say, aspects of the spoiler warning lore, but I'm going to pick the earliest one that I have a clip of. The year is 2014. In fact, we released this January 1st, 2014, New Year's Day in 2014. It's episode 274. You gave this film a pass with a caveat. I gave it a wait for rental. Carson Patrick gave it a must-see. And here is the clip from January 1st, 2014, episode 274.
Well, here's the thing, that the coda of this film, without getting too spoilery, you would expect that after all the events in the film, after all the horrible things that happen to the main character, that at the end of the film, he would have learned his lesson, right? At the end of this film, based on the words of the main character, the resolve of what happens to him was the best thing that could happen to him.
I will say that is the most Christopher Schnese sentence I've ever heard. But what did you say our ratings were again?
You gave it a pass with a caveat. I gave it a wait for rental. Carson Patrick gave it a must-see. I will let you know, elsewhere in the episode, you, as a positive counterbalance, speak about American Hustle as an example of doing good things that this movie did not do.
I think you just confused me more. Yeah, I got nothing.
All right, I'm going to start listing cast members, and we'll see if you get it. Margot Robbie.
Is this
Jonah
Focus?
Hill.
No. Wolf of Wall Street.
Yep, this is Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
All right. I think we have played enough of the spoiler warning game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you inflict it on me in the future if you would like.
It is also, we're 27 minutes into the episodes.
I had fun.
No, it was definitely fun. But it is funny how difficult it is to play something like that, especially when you're like, what? I would say that about what? What is the... And it's, for the most part, obviously you're choosing clips that don't have a lot of meat to them. It's really about the feeling of what you felt about a thing. So it's
right.
For me, the dates, the number don't matter. The year kind of helps when it's the most recent years, because there is enough there to kind of grab on a little bit. But yeah, that is a hard ass game to play.
Yeah, what I will know for next time is to sprinkle in more references to the movie in the clip. I think when I began polling, I was like, oh, it's going to give it away if we talk about the plot or anything. And now I realize the plot out of context, like fighting yourself or seeing creatures in the desert, may on its own not make it obvious what the movie is. And that can be even more fun. Some of the titles that I skipped, to be nice to you, when I realized how hard this game was, is... I don't think you will remember the movie you gave a recommend with a caveat in August of 2020, saying that you found it delightful and you were laughing all the way through. And that was An American Pickle, a movie that does not exist.
I did enjoy that movie. Mm-hmm. All right. That was a fun game. We'll definitely have to do it back and forth in the future. Maybe even as a standalone episode if people ask for it enough, which you can do by sending an email to fans at thespoilerwarning.com if you want some of this crazy antics. But yeah, what do you say if we get back to the topic at hand, Stephen? Sonic the Hedgehog. What is your history with Sonic, the character, the games, the television series, is either of those?
I would say very little. I certainly played video games related to Sonic. I don't think I owned any video games. I think you were saying the same thing the other day when people were talking about Sonic. Yeah. I certainly played at like sleepovers or visits with friends, like Sonic related games. Otherwise, I don't remember anything about it. Like, was there a like kids cartoon show about Sonic? Because Dr. Robotnik clearly was a character I knew about in some capacity.
So there might be more, but I distinctly remember 2 television shows. One had a good theme song, and the other one was the better show. If I'm remembering correctly, I might be mixing that up. But I definitely watched both the Sonic the Hedgehog television shows, like the cartoons. Like you, I didn't own the video game, so I didn't get a chance to play it that much, but I did play it at friends' houses who had Segas. And I think even we used to do the Blockbuster thing, if people remember that, where you could go rent a console that you didn't own from Blockbuster. So we would rent like the Sega and the Sega Saturn, but Sonic was never a game that I was going to Blockbuster because I'm trying to do like whatever the newest thing that I've heard about that I want to try. Like I'm not going to rent that just to play some Sonic at home. So yeah, I remember some of the cartoons slightly fondly, but I didn't care when they announced this film. I was like, of course they're making a Sonic the Hedgehog film, because what other IP are they going to mine for something? As mentioned at the top of the episode, neither of us saw the original when it was in theaters. We just let it pass by. I seem to remember a ton of chatter about it being way better than people expected. Do you have that same
I remember
memory?
the same too. Yeah,
okay.
I remember people being surprised at how good it was. And I also think because this was 2020, it wound up being one of the highest grossing films of the year, like throughout the year. And I think that kept it in the conversation a little bit more than it would have otherwise.
Yeah, I think when we kind of came up with the lark for doing this episode, I was like, you know what? People seem to like it. I'm totally excited to give it a chance and see what they thought, and then roll the dice on the second film and see if it lives up to the first or is worth going to see it in theaters. But yeah, we've come to that moment, Stephen. You ready to get to our first review for this week?
I am, but first I have to ask, did you watch the first movie this weekend too, or had you already seen it when you proposed that we do the double feature?
Oh, no, I watched them both this weekend. So I watched one. Okay. I might have watched it the morning before I went and saw it. I watched Sonic the Hedgehog like Thursday or Friday last week, and then I didn't have a chance until just Monday night to go to the theater to see the second one. So I did have a little bit of a gap.
So they are both fresh for both of us, though. We both entered the world of Sonic this weekend for the first time.
Yeah. And I will say, I could have used Sonic's power because this weekend I spent 24 hours driving.
Yeah, like how quickly he gets to San Francisco comparatively.
Oh, I would have loved it. I mean, hell, even without that power, if I could just have one of those rings, that would be enough for me. Well, 2 of those rings.
Yeah. That is one thing. We'll talk about it in the movies. I don't know the ring mechanics. Like when you use it, is the ring just not a ring anymore? It just goes away after a while?
Yeah, unlike other skills, when you lose it, or when you use it, you lose it.
It's a shame. That is going to be a clip for my next year version of the spoiler warning game.
Nice. Well, we are going to take a listen to the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog, the 2020 film, and then we're going to come back and give you a review.
I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome package. On my planet, people were always after my powers, so I came to yours. It gets a little lonely, but that's okay. I am living my best life on Earth. Ow! At the plate, Sonic! At the pitcher's mound, also Sonic! Ugh, I can't with that guy. Uh-oh. Why are you hiding out in my garage? They're coming for me! If they steal my power, they could conquer the universe. You have to help me.
No, I don't.
Please, it's life or death.
Good morning, my rural chum.
Mr. Dr. Robotnik.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds to tell me where it is.
Wait! Don't hurt him! Road trip? Woo-woo!
This can't be happening to me.
Oh my God, stop the car right now!
What?
The world's largest rubber band ball? We gotta see it!
No, this is not some fun family road trip.
You're right. It was lame. Gift shop was cool, though.
Whatever this creature is, I'm going to uncover the source of its power.
Yeah, hey.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk.
Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them!
We gotta lay low. Let me show you how it's done. So should we get out of here?
Yeah, time to go.
I always want to do this. Nailed it! Uh-oh. Here comes the boom.
How are you not dead?
I have no idea.
Oh! Give me a big, fat break! That was an illegal left, by the way.
Aw, this one is cute. Let's keep him. Oh, come on! You've got car insurance, right?
Why would you throw your life away for this silly little alien?
Good time.
He's my friend.
Let's go! This is my power. And I'm using it to protect my friends. Let's go! Let's go! So, you're supposed to be Tom's best friend that he won't shut up about. Well, I don't see the appeal. That is very gross. Let's go!
Sonic the Hedgehog, the 2020 film, is a story of Sonic, who is a hedgehog, but an alien hedgehog from a planet which apparently contains just him and some bad guys that are trying to get him, and Owl, who's like, I guess, left over from the Ga'Hoole movies. And basically, Sonic is under attack. The owl lady sends him to Earth so he can try to be protected, and there he meets a police officer who is, just trying to go from being a small town police officer to being a San Francisco police officer. And along the way, Sonic sets off a big, weird explosion of energy, which clues in Dr. Robotnik that there is this special source of energy over near San Francisco, and he comes over trying to gain the power so he can power all of his diabolical machines. And Sonic and Cyclops have to team up together to stop Dr. Robotnik. And potentially, no, I'm not even gonna, we can spoil it, but I was gonna say where he goes. But yeah, anyways, Stephen Miller, what did you think of Sonic the Hedgehog?
So I think when we did our Trolls and Trolls World Tour review, we were both kind of pleasantly surprised to find that the movies were pretty decent. I think Trolls 1 was legitimately a good movie. I think we both gave it recommend with a caveat. Yeah. This, I think Sonic is a bad movie with a great cast that drags it kicking and screaming into being entertaining. And what I mean by that is everyone in the movie is wonderful. I think Ben Schwartz is genius casting for Sonic. It completely fits the character.
Yeah,
he's just doing Jean-Ralphio. I think it's either here or in movie 2 where he literally even does the Jean-Ralphio singing, like, I am going to party with my friend. Like he even does the little high pitched singing Ben Schwartzy thing. He is so earnest and silly, and he is exactly the kind of actor who can be farting one moment and then having a kind of teary-eyed confession that he wants to be your friend the next, and you buy it because he just has that manic energy. Jim Carrey is great in this movie. I love Jim Carrey. You're making a face, so I think you might not love him. as much. I thought he was hilarious. I thought every interaction he has with his sidekick, his like villainy sidekick in this movie is great. There is a moment where he judo chops the guy in the neck and he starts gagging, and then he says like, you left yourself open, I had to do it, and then the guy like thanks him and keeps walking. That kind of like silly back and forth that they do. There's a moment where he is dancing and running from fake dinosaurs while he does science in his in his little lab. I thought he was very, very funny and entertaining the whole way through. Like them both. I like James Marsden in this movie. I think he like is game. He knows he's acting against a CGI hedgehog the whole time, and he plays it in a remarkably straight way that I think like is fitting to the kids movie nature. But setting aside all of that, when I think about this, even as a kids movie, I think the themes are so muddy in the Sonic universe. Like the message of this movie is Sonic was alone, and now he has friends, and he's going to stop running away and use his power to protect his friends.
Steven.
But the whole movie is him being preserved and everyone trying to protect him. Like, I don't really understand what the movie is trying to say, even to a little kid.
Steven, Sonic was happy being alone for a long time. It was only until he realized that he can't high-five himself, even though he can do everything else himself with his super speed, and I think there would be a way that he could high-five himself. He is just so sad that he can't have a high-five because he doesn't have anybody else to high-five with, that he just has to run around the bases until he creates like a sonic boom.
Yep. Exactly, which Dr. Robotnik will see. So anyway, there was silliness in the movie that I liked. It feels a lot like the original Muppet movie to me. It's like a silly, bizarre road trip. Everything about the bar scene, they go to a roadside bar in part of this movie, could have been straight out of the Muppets movie, like 100%. Human beings are cartoons in this film. There's a lot of silliness here. There is slow motion fighting and action that feels a whole lot like The Flash in Justice League. Like I would maybe be pissed if I were Zack Snyder and saw this movie. The degree to which it feels similar, but it's fun. I thought it was fun to watch Sonic do his thing.
In the X-Men films.
Or Quicksilver. Yeah. I think one thing that bothered me, even as a kid's movie, is this film does not know the limits of Sonic's power. Sometimes Sonic can literally run to the Pacific Ocean and back in 1 second.
Yeah.
Other times, Sonic is frozen because someone is pointing a gun at him and he like doesn't know what to do, or he is chasing to catch up with a person. Like, in order to make Sonic have an actual journey that he goes through, the film needs to selectively make him either be unbelievably fast or kind of quicker than the average person. And we'll get to it in movie number 2, but that builds throughout the series in a way that I find frustrating and kind of hard to follow.
Yeah.
So if I think about this as if it were a superhero movie, I have a lot of complaints. If I think about it as a message-heavy kids movie, I think it is muddy and a little complicated. If I think it is a movie that is supposed to make me laugh and have a silly time, I think they nail it, only because Ben Schwartz, Jim Carrey, James Marsden, Adam Pally, like, I think there are enough people doing very silly things here that I had a totally fine time watching it. But I don't think it raises to like the heights of a good kids movie. I think it was just like an acceptable kids movie.
Yeah, I think while I was watching the film, I entered this film knowing that people said this was better than they expected. So I was maybe expecting better than what I think I got. Like, as I was watching this film, I was like, all right, this is not vibing with me. And I was trying to figure out why. So one thing I was thinking of is like the fact that I genuinely liked Detective Pikachu. That film I thought was like legitimately fun, interesting, and I enjoyed myself watching it. And then I kept thinking back to my own voice telling Steven, Project Adam is a kids movie, It's targeted at kids. You should be able to watch it accepting that it's for kids, and you should be able to have fun with it. And I kept hearing you not agree with that. So maybe the formula for Christopher is you just put Ryan Reynolds in your movie. And a kid's movie is just totally palatable, 100%. I like, so here's the thing. Dr. Robotnik's assistant is 100% MVP of both these films. My favorite part of all of them, any interaction with him, I'm chuckling, I'm laughing, like it gets me because it's so weird. The relationship dynamic there is weird. And when I watch it, it just makes me giggle and it makes me happy. Ben Schwartz version of Sonic, it's fine. I like his shtick, but there's not enough happening, and the jokes come. It's like there's just enough pause between the jokes to have it not feel like it's quippy, but just feel like it's time for the next joke to be said. And it's sometimes Sonic is just saying them to himself, but not in a way that cracks himself up. He's like saying it seriously to himself, and he's not even laughing at it. So I don't even get the joy of, like, Dr. Robotnik, when he insults somebody, you see the joy he has in insulting that person. When Sonic quips, it's not like Peter Parker doing something and then like saying something and then actually genuinely being excited about the fact that he landed that zinger or something like that, right? Sonic's just saying things because like some of it feels like it's just ADR'd after the fact. Like, we'll just put you in the room.
I had that thought. I definitely had that thought that like they had Ben Schwartz do punch up on his own movie later.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, we need a few more zingers.
Or they wrote an algorithm where they just put him in a room where he just said one-liners constantly, and they just it took the script, read it in, and found the most appropriate.
I mean, we've seen him perform before. He probably could just sit in a room and make like 100 jokes in 30 minutes if he was left alone.
Yeah. So I think for me, it was weird because like also James Marsden, I love that he is willing to just do this, right? You know that he knows what he's doing is stupid, and he's so 100% game for it. Especially when we're not reviewing the second film yet, but like especially over there when he's playing like this guy who would otherwise be like a heartthrob in any other movie, but is now supposed to be like the dumb guy who everybody's sort of making fun of. Like I love that he is so game for it. There are pieces in this film that should totally work for me, but I think that for some reason it felt a little flat. And part of that might just be because the IP is so loosely thrown together that it sort of seems silly that it's even a Sonic film. Like it could be just any other weird speedy guy, right? It could be some off-brand Flash, right? The fact that it's Sonic, it's like he lives in a weird world that is just the first level from Sonic the Hedgehog the game, and then the rings, which used to be something you collect and then lose when you get hit, are now portals that take you to other planets, whatever you think of. But then you don't have to actually know the location. You can just look at a piece of paper that says Mushroom Planet and throw a ring, and it'll take you to the Mushroom Planet. Like there's just, it's like they don't even want to bother trying to create a story. They're just like, yeah, Sonic and rings, but the rings are portals, and he's fast, but only as fast as he needs to be for the joke we're trying to do in the moment, not a set amount. And the funny thing is, you were talking about sometimes he's really fast, sometimes he's slow. There's an easy fix for it. In the game, you could start running and slowly build up speed and then turn into a ball. Or you could do like the press down and the button, and you'd be like, bzz, 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 and then you'd take off, right? There's a good example of how he could not be able to instantly be fast, so he would be scared of the gun because he doesn't have a way to suddenly be going full speed, right? Like there's things like that that would have
right, and they do find a way early in this movie to make it kind of like that with use of a tranquilizer gun, where I thought like, oh, you are going to keep having reasons that he might not be at full capacity all the time, but they do kind of just do away with that after a while. They're like, nah. Sometimes he's really fast, sometimes he isn't. Often in the same scene, he'll be threatened by a thing and have to get out of it by using his brain, and then 2 minutes later he'll get out of it by being unbelievably fast in a way that makes the tension go away completely.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of also, like, you talked about loving Jim Carrey. I thought Jim Carrey was very hit and miss in this film. Like there are moments where I definitely enjoyed him. There are other moments where I'm like, you're just doing it. part of his acting in this film felt like he was at a birthday party and trying to make a kid laugh. Like, there's no reason for the character to be doing this or to be quirky in this way, but he is trying to make a child laugh, which there's no crime in that. There's no crime in that at all.
He made this child laugh every time.
Yeah, I don't know, Stephen. It was fine. But I definitely was expecting a little more. It also feels weird that, like, there are plenty of films, like Pixar films, where there are the jokes for the kids and there are the jokes for the adults. But the jokes for the adults are throwaways that the kid not only isn't going to understand, but isn't going to realize that a joke is being said. The kid is just going to completely fly over the kid's head, and the adults are going to be like, nah, you clever bastard, you. This film says, like, it seems like the adult references are delivered in kid tones to the children, right? Like even the joke where he's talking about, like, oh, you don't know the secret? Like, like a kid's not going to understand what that joke is, but, like, he's saying it as though it's a joke for the children, and it just feels like weird to throw those references at the kids, even though the kids are like, are the kids going to ask their parents, like, what's your?
It does make it feel. It makes it feel like a kids movie meant for adults as the target demographic rather than kids, which was kind of my criticism of the Adam Project. So I do feel like we're kind of sitting on the other side now of the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Like a moment that I thought was really funny is early on when we meet Dr. Robotnik. I think he's speaking to James Marsden's character Tom, but he might be speaking to like a major or a police officer or someone else that he is overruling. And he's saying, I was spitting out formulas while you were spitting out formula. And the person says, like, actually, I was breastfed. And he goes, nice. Rub it in the orphan's face. That isn't for a kid. No kid is like, that whole back and forth is like 1.5 seconds. It's like very quickly delivered.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's for, but I was cracking up because I was like, who says that? What movie am I watching? I think I like that Jim Carrey just like takes you into another movie every time he's on screen.
Yeah. And like, there are moments where he works for me. That's why I'm just saying he's like hit and miss. Like, there's definitely times where I laughed at whatever the hell it was doing. It just didn't work 100% of the time.
All right. Now I have to ask because, so they start out in a town, I think in Montana, but they go to San Francisco to retrieve the rings. How did you feel they handled San Francisco? There's a moment when they arrive and see Maddie, played by Tika Sumpter, her sister, played by Natasha Rothwell, who's very funny and insecure. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. She lives in San Francisco, and it shows a cutaway to the street that she lives on and her house, and I was dying with laughter.
That's just the size of it?
Well, it's a giant house in a flat suburban street with the Golden Gate Bridge a block away.
Yeah.
And I was like, where are you?
Yeah. When the film started with that like future moment with Robotnik like chasing Sonic through San Francisco, I was like, I didn't realize this film was taking place in San Francisco. And then as soon as we cut to somewhere else, I was like, oh, they just already have that modeled in a computer somewhere.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that the first place is supposed to be Montana.
Apparently it is. Yeah.
Interesting. So why do we ever understand why Marsden wants to be a police officer in San Francisco? I just assumed he
wants to make a difference. He wants to make more of a difference. And he feels like in his small town he can't. But you mean YSF? Like, why was that the metro area?
Like I just assumed it was some made up area outside of San Francisco, and San Francisco was the closest large city to him, and that's why he picked San Francisco. I didn't realize it was like Montana, which
I'm pretty sure they say Montana. I think it is like an extensive drive, which is why the gag where Sonic runs to the Pacific Ocean and comes back is like, he is basically doing the Superman where he can just circumnavigate the globe if he wants to.
Yeah.
You know, he could turn back time.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you ready to get to verdicts then for the first Sonic the Hedgehog?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Stephen, if you were going to give us a must-see, recommend with the caveat, wait for rental, pass with the caveat, or must avoid, what would you give it?
I am giving this a wait for rental. I thought this was completely fine for a kids movie, especially. I thought it was nice. I think, again, everyone is doing their damnedest to make it very funny and silly. They are much better than the movie had a right to be. Again, I think Ben Schwartz, brilliant choice for Sonic. Love how game James Marsden is. I think Jim Carrey is hilarious. I laugh like every time he talks in this movie. Just a big fan all around of the characters. If you took them out of it, I think this movie would be a quite bad kids movie. Like, I actually think the plot is very stupid and the message is not especially good. And there is no, for all the earnestness that Ben Schwartz brings to the role of Sonic, the things he is being asked to be earnest about, I think don't land at all in a way that like a Pixar movie or a Mitchell's versus the Machines or something could easily do with a situation like this. So not a great movie, made totally watchable by virtue of really talented people punching it up at every opportunity.
Yeah, I'm going to give it the same review, but I guess technically lower on the scale of Wait for Rental. I mean, this is a perfect example of one of those films where if we were back to the full on, we're just seeing a ton of shit in theaters. And like, I saw 3 things this weekend, and then I text you and you were like, I haven't got a chance to see anything yet. I can see 2 of the 3 things. Which one should I drop? I would have been like, I don't know. We're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. You can just drop that one.
Right.
If it wasn't for this episode 700 spectacular, I wouldn't have pushed to review this film at all. So
yep,
yeah.
That is how I felt around Saturday evening.
So that's it. It's a wait for rental and a wait for review. Mm-hmm. All right, now Stephen, you ready for the real test? The real test of seeing the second film, which we got to see in theaters with a contemporary audience. Actually, let's talk about that real fast. Were there children in your screening? I mean, I assume we both saw it at Alamo. I saw it. It was a 7 p.m. showing, so it wasn't like a super late showing or anything. And there was definitely some kids in my audience and some clapping at certain moments in this film. So, you know, even though my theater was like probably like 4/5 empty, it was still interesting to see like people seemingly really, really vibing with the film and kind of participating, and like a few young people in there. So it's like, man, I haven't been to a movie where like kids cheer. This is crazy. Yeah.
I saw it in the big auditorium, specifically in a kid-friendly showing. Like they had that designation saying this was a kid-friendly screening of the movie. There were not as many kids as I thought there would be. Like, there were a few clusters of like 4 or 6 occupied seats that I purposely put myself as far away from as possible, because I was like, that is a family with a shitload of kids. I don't want to be anywhere near them. And most of them were adults. Like, there were the occasional little kid, like a little kid with their parents. That happened a few places. And I definitely heard them clapping and cheering and laughing at a few things. One kid was roving the aisle in a way that was very strange, because Alamo employees rove the aisles, like coming to drop off food and everything, and seeing like a 7-year-old do that made me feel like there was a 7-year-old employee coming to give me food. Made me laugh a bit. But yeah, not as many kids as I expected for the capital K kid-friendly screening that I attended, which was the only one with that designation that day, as far as I know.
Nice. All right. Well, Stephen, let's get into it. I'm going to play the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and then come back, and we're going to give everybody a review.
Quick stretch, little snack, and here we go.
Sonic, I love that you want to help make a difference.
Mind if I drive?
But you're being reckless.
Don't worry, nobody's gonna get hurt.
Pretending to be Batman.
Blue Justice, trademark pending.
You're still just a kid.
Woohoo!
Trust me, there will come a moment when your powers will be needed. But you don't choose that moment. That moment chooses you.
I just got goosebumps. Wait a second, did you steal that from Oprah?
Papa's got a brand new stash.
Since I've been gone, I've discovered the source of ultimate power.
That sounds big. It's been on my vision board for years.
Hope
but not too late.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Name's Tails.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Step 1, light taunting. Step 2, I have no idea. Whoa! That wasn't too bad. Today's forecast calls for a 100% chance of adventure. Return to sender. Face it, you're never going to get my power.
Do I look like I need your power?
Where are my manners? Sonic, meet Knuckles.
Alrighty, so that was the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. When we last met our friends, they had become a big old happy friendly family, and Dr. Robotnik was banished to the Mushroom Planet. But he has been working hard, trying to find a way off the Mushroom Planet. And after he creates his own power surge with the quill that he has stolen from Sonic in the previous film, he encounters a new person called Knuckles, who is a character who seems to be also hunting for Sonic the Hedgehog, and clues him into a story about a mysterious power source that, once again, Dr. Robotnik might be able to steal to power all of his diabolical machines. Stephen Miller, what did you think of Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
I am going to quote from a legendary opening line to a fanfic from many years ago. Obama chuckled. You mean the Chaos Emeralds? Which was an internet meme for a very long time. And I never knew what it was referring to until this moment. You might not get it. Your kids are going to love it.
All right.
This movie, this was the How to Train Your Dragon 2 to the Sonic How to Train Your Dragon 1, not only in the sense that it is a sequel, but in the sense that it is a sequel that decided to blow the world way wider open to give it something to do, because it couldn't harvest the interpersonal relationship for as much anymore. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, I think depends on how you feel about the franchise. Like, this movie goes from having one magical character to 3 magical characters immediately.
And a tease for a potential fourth.
Yeah, a tease for a fourth. It has a globe-trotting plan. It tries to tie it back to the legacy of the people that Sonic was raised by and what they are there to protect. It has a giant MacGuffin in the movie. There is a plan to try to take over the world. It just is much, much, much bigger in scope. And I don't know if that translates to a better kids movie. I will say it certainly was in theaters a little bit more captivating for me. I had no desire to check my phone, whereas at home in Sonic 1, I definitely had a temptation, which I may have indulged in a few times, to just take a look over, see what was happening in the world. I think what is smart about this movie is they realize that Sonic and his relationship with James Marsden, with Tim, is kind of, or Tom, sorry, it isn't played out, but like they've done what they can with it in the first movie. And so what they do now, if kids are trying to vibe with Sonic, rather than be like, listen to your parents, is give Sonic his own version of a kid. Like, give him his version of someone to look after and have to be like kind and thoughtful to, which is the character of Tails. And I thought that was very cute. I thought the whole dynamic with Sonic and Tails and the way he feels like ownership over Tails' well-being, and Tails is kind of looking up to him, and he feels like a need to make sure Tails is safe and secure. That I found touching in a very kids movie logic way, where I was like, man, if I were a kid, this would make me feel like I need to treat my little brother well, or, you know, I could just see the kind of kid movie machinations of the Tails character, and I enjoyed that a lot. Knuckles, I think, is great because Idris Elba, like James Marsden, is just fully committing to the movie that he is in, and is surprisingly straightforward about all of it in a way that I just really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The problem of how fast does Sonic move was even worse in this movie.
It was exacerbated a lot.
How fast does Knuckles move?
Well, Knuckles or Knuckles
the whole
fists?
movie. Yeah, Knuckles sans fists. Knuckles running, because Knuckles running has the same exact. He becomes a red blur. He becomes a red line like Sonic's blue line, and he chases a car for about 4 minutes in this movie.
So the impression I got was Knuckles is strong but not fast. He's faster than normal people are, but not fast. This is not coming from lore. This is just visually on screen. My assumption was Sonic charges up, runs super fast. Knuckles charges his fist, punches super hard. He's also pretty quick because he's a whatever creature he is.
Yeah.
Which is weird too. That it's not a real. Is it a real animal? Is it an animal?
I don't know.
That I just don't know about.
I have no idea. I don't know what he thinks he is.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's a fox. It's a hedgehog, and it's a something.
Yeah. A Knuckles.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry I cut you off.
No, it's fine. The mechanics of Sonic now, because this is now Indiana Jones, and they very purposefully tell you that in this movie. You know, this movie has all sorts of movie references in it where it's like calling out to what they are ripping off in a way that, again, who is it for, right? Like the kids aren't going to care that it's ripping off Indiana Jones, so it's clearly for the parents.
They're definitely not going to care when you even change it so far as to like not be saying snakes. Why does it have to be snakes? You say water. Why does it have to be water?
Why does it have to be water? Yeah, I don't know who it's for.
It's so weird.
Yeah, but because it turns it into a big adventure movie with a MacGuffin that they have to get to, and a maze, and a plan, and a map, and all this stuff, the fact that the mechanics of Sonic don't make any sense or have no internal consistency bothered me a little bit more here than it did in the first movie. Because, again, I don't know what he can and can't do. Like, he runs away from things. 2 movies in a row, they make him be in a vehicle for a while in the movie in a way that, like, you're Sonic the Hedgehog. You don't need to be in a vehicle. You can run so much faster.
Yeah.
But if I take that away, I thought it was cute. I also think the question of who is it for, this movie exacerbates, because I think the whole subplot of Maddie's sister Rachel, her wedding in Hawaii, I thought was very funny in a way that kids will not get the humor at all.
Yeah.
It almost felt like a second movie, like a 22 Jump Street type movie, just like stapled on to this Sonic the Hedgehog kids movie. And I thought it was, I laughed a lot. I thought it was a really funny twist, and I liked the relationship between the characters.
Yeah.
I don't get who they're targeting now. Like, it just makes me wonder, who is Sonic for? I don't know who they're writing for anymore.
It feels like, and I mean, should I just get into my thoughts in the context of this my response to you? This film feels like a correction, potentially overcorrection, on the part of the parents who will definitely have to take their kids to see this, since they took them to see the first one, right? It feels like this film shows me that the only real problem with the first film, just not enough plot. If you just had more motivations and things the characters were doing and people to instigate actions, it would be a totally fine film. Like, this film... Yeah. To me, this film is a better film on every single level. All the characters are even more the characters than they were in the first film. There is cohesion between motivations between people and why they're doing things and everything like that. Like, before, it was like Sonic's on this weird planet. Suddenly, these people that we don't know anything about are trying to kill him. He arrives on Earth, and he seems to be totally happy until one day he's sad that he can't have a high five. And then Dr. Robotnik's there, and then he befriends a police officer, and I guess there's a challenge, and then boom, the bad guy's banished to a mushroom planet. This film has like characters like there's bad guys that have similar motivations and have to team up to work against the heroes. The heroes are trying to do their own thing but still work together, and then they're like trying to be apart and then are brought together and they have to work together to try to do all sorts of stuff. Like there's just everything about this film works on a way that the first film didn't sort of work for me. And maybe it's because there are so many different characters that we don't spend long enough with any one character for me to get tired of the shtick. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, cool. Then this guy, oh yeah, the barista guy who's the assistant. Yeah, that's cool. And then you're like off to do the other thing, right? And I think that it is just upping the game across the board. It's having like a genuine plot with things for people to do, and then the effects are all bigger and badder, right? Like the big bad fights are more exciting than just a ship flying around. Like there is something that has to happen. The characters, change their motivations as they go on through the film, and it's a fun ride that is still, it's not technically executed any better than the previous film was. It's just there's more of the good and less of the downtime. Like honestly, for me, the only downtime in this film is what feels like a 10-minute sequence of Sonic being left alone at home and just doing whatever he wants. And it's like, that scene did not need to show every activity he was going to be doing while he was left alone, right? And I like the payoff of the where that's going every time he gets a call and him having to try to pretend like everything's cool at the house. Like that trope, the way they play it in this film works for me and it's fun, but it's just kind of like the only downtime was let Sonic play with the dog and skateboard around the house and make a mess and dump cereal on the ground. And I was like, dude, just can we get on? I'm sure Robotnik's probably doing something evil. Can we go cut back to him?
Yep. No, I hear you. I think this movie, in most respects, just improves on the first one. It's hard to think of a thing that it does worse. The only place it comes close is I feel like, for better or worse, this movie embraces that it is a kid's movie more than the first one. And that means some of the logic, even in the funny scenes, is a little bit more grating to me. Like you mentioned Sonic being at home, partying because his parents are out of the house, and it goes on for like 10 minutes and it doesn't need to go on that long.
Yeah.
If I compare, there is a bar scene in this movie, a fight in a Siberian bar,
I like that.
as opposed to the biker bar in the first one. In the first one, it's a biker bar. And again, like I can't stress, it's very 70s Muppet movie. It's very like wacky, cartoony people who pose a real threat. And then this creature is living with them and we get to see their quirks. Here it's a dance-off in like the most kids movie logic ever.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was just me realizing I am an adult man alone watching a kids movie in theaters. At that moment, as I like sipped my beer and ate my fried chicken sandwich and Sonic and Tails proceeded to like floss for the 8th time, I was just like,
I actually,
I don't know. You're steering into something. You're doing it better, but I feel it more now.
Yeah, I really like the scene just from the like where you think it's going to like where it goes. However, the idea that like, oh, we can do all kinds of dances, we just don't know how to do that specific dance, and as long as we're trying to do that specific dance, we're going to make a fool of ourselves. Like the fact that they're suddenly like expert dancers and have all this crazy choreography was kind of that's where it kind of like crossed the line for me. But before that, it started.
Tails Gadget is cool.
Yeah.
I do like. Sorry, I cut you off. I think before the dancing started, I did like the signifiers of how evil all the people were. Like when they enter and they're like, "Oh, this looks like a hospitable place," and then
it's pretty
every
good.
character just mugs the camera in the most like I'm a bad guy way.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Especially like, well, at least there's the old lady. It was good times.
Yep.
Yeah, I think too one of my favorite things is about this film is the extension of like I won't talk about the full reveal of it, but like the government organization that is now involved in this, it starts as sort of a joke in the first film, and where it goes in this one, just the absurdness of what that organization does and the lengths they're willing to go to. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. No, that whole plot I thought was very, 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 very funny. In hindsight, I don't understand who wrote this movie because that doesn't feel like a kid's movie plot at all. But I thought it was great. I think Natasha Rothwell, Rachel, the sister who is getting married in this movie, Rachel getting married, huh? I thought she is like low key the MVP of this movie. Like everything about her relationship with her stud husband to be and everything, I thought was just hilarious in the movie. Again, I don't know who it's for, but I had a lot of fun with it. I also think the action is definitely way better in this movie. There is a giant kind of mech warrior moment in this movie that I thought was completely badass and very much felt like a video game final boss battle put in cinematic form in a way I don't think I've really felt before watching video game movies. They do a lot right here.
I like the effects too of just the way, like, it's essentially a Jaeger, right, from Pacific Rim, but instead of being into all the hydraulic stuff to control the arms and legs, like Jim Carrey's just floating with the weird blue or green electricity flying off of him, and just him. It's the only time when like even in one of the things that kind of bugged me in Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man film, was whenever Dr. Octopus was like that fight scene on the bridge where like he's kind of just like hanging there and they're animating him moving around, but it didn't feel like he was connected to the arms of his whatever his little.
If we're talking about No Way Home, I still haven't seen it, by the way.
Holy shit, Steven.
Yeah. I got all these Sonic movies to watch.
Why did we do a review of Sonic and Sonic 2? Anyways, there was a disconnect there from me.
Wait, Dr. Octopus is in that movie?
But like, you know, if like Dr. Octopus is supposed to be a man who's like hanging himself in the air by his little like robotic tentacle arm things, right? And there is a weirdness to the way his body is sort of like, he is not like when he punches, he's not always like punching with the arm to make it seem like he is really moving him. He's sort of just like lifelessly hanging there as his arms do all the work and his robotic arms do all the work. And that kind of bugged me in a way where I'm like, I feel like if this was an anime or something, that person would be more physically performing in that attack with the arms as they did their thing. So it's like when you see a person just hanging what's probably on wires, normally it always looks a little bit goofy, right? Because it doesn't seem real. But because Jim Carrey is doing this weird, goofy, purposely hanging from these electricity, like it works so perfectly that it feels 100% real and authentic. And I just loved everything that was happening inside of that giant mech.
And it's funny because between Jim Carrey and Sonic in that moment, both of them have powers that hypothetically are almost infinitely strong, but the rules are unclear, so we believe anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've complained about Sonic. How fast can he go? Can he outrun a car? Can he outrun a Knuckles? You know, what can he do and what can't he do? Dr. Robotnik is all powerful in that moment. He is not even Magneto. Like, he has one of the Marvel stones, right? Like, he can like do anything.
I mean, in theory,
and yet, what he does is builds a machine, and then the machine has the same failure points as any other machine would.
But that's the thing, is like he is essentially a Green Lantern sort of character, where if he can imagine it, he can manifest it and then use that to whatever he wants to do. But he's so obsessed with robots that he wants to be in this giant robot mech because that seems like the most powerful thing he can think of. And I love too that like if he's trying to smash somebody, he's not just gonna like go over and smash them like a kaiju would. He is gonna do this like this trot over to get closer and closer. It's like the goofy version of like a Bond villain spending all the time telling what they're gonna do to give the hero enough time to escape.
Well, exactly. Like, hypothetically, with his power, he can Thanos snap, right? Hypothetically, he could just like look at James Marsden and have him explode or something.
Yeah.
But he doesn't because it's a kid's movie. Anyway, I thought it was silly. I thought it was fun. And I don't want to get spoilery. Not that spoilers really matter, but I didn't know Super Saiyans were a part of the Sonic mythology.
It has to be a purposeful homage, right? Like, there's no way, like, somebody didn't say, like, I mean, his hair is basically like Super Saiyan, right? Like, they just full on.
Because I don't remember the video game having this equivalent. I'm sure it did. I'm sure there's like a star or the equivalent of in like, you know, Nintendo games, the invincibility thing that you get. But I don't recall that look and feel. That felt very, very, very much Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it was 100% Dragon Ball Z. And I was there for it.
Yep. I will also say I enjoyed the end of the first movie. Spoilers, I guess, for Sonic 1, if anybody is really worried about it. Sees Dr. Robotnik getting banished to the Mushroom Planet. He's being thrown through a ring, and then the ring is taken away. So he is in like the outermost edges of the galaxy. This movie opens with us seeing how does he get back. First of all, his mustache is even bigger, and I love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Right away, I was like, yes, keep getting more cartoony. I'm like, the more of a cartoon you become, the happier I am. We then watch a montage of him first trying to make coffee, and then finding a way to get off the planet. And I just enjoyed that. I got a little bit of a like Martian thrill or something of just seeing like you have nothing but your wits about you. What are you going to do, you know, to get off of this planet with nothing but mushrooms?
Yeah.
And I had a good time. I enjoyed it.
That is another example, though, of the who is this joke for? Like, I feel like mushroom coffee, like taking a swipe at mushroom coffee feels like such a strange joke in a child's film.
Take that, podcast listeners. No one else in the world.
It just seems so funny. Not humorous, but funny to decide to even make those jokes. But yeah, what are you gonna do? So here's my question for you, Stephen. Clearly, Dr. Robotnik can get as much as he wants. Like, he can basically accomplish all he wants to do with what seems like just a single quill from Sonic's head. So why does he need to actually capture Sonic when he can just try to get some quills from Sonic's head? And it seems like he could do everything that he wants to do with just that limited source of power.
I mean, he's vengeful. He's a vengeful man. Sonic wronged him, and now he needs to defeat Sonic. Or also, maybe he's afraid as long as Sonic exists, he'll be able to stop him doing whatever he wants to do.
So speaking of being wrong or somebody wronging Dr. Robotnik, it is funny that like they keep having the joke about how James Marsden's character punched Jim Carrey, right? Dr. Robotnik got punched. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I rewatched the trailer just now for the first film that I realized it's 100% a sucker punch. And they treat it as though like James Marsden totally one-upped him. And it's like, no, he was screaming and completely distracted, and you took that opportunity to just freaking clock him in the side of the head. Like, you didn't best him in a fight. You sucker punched him. Like, there's no honor in that.
Yeah, no honor. No honor. But hey, ACAB, man. Can't trust a cop.
Okay. Yeah. Any last thoughts about this film, Stephen?
I don't think I've ever felt so torn between loving what a movie is doing and being driven crazy about the mechanism by which the character would choose to do that, as in the snowboarding scene in this movie. Very video game, lot of fun. Feels kind of James Bondy. You know, everything in this movie feels like another movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Sonic makes sense to do any of that given his powers and what he's running away from, but I had a lot of fun with it anyway. And I think that's the whole movie in a nutshell. It's like, I don't know why you're doing that, but it was cool.
That reminds me of a thing from the first film. You know, we've talked about how this is a kid's film and you can't show like really dangerous stuff or anything so bad. I don't know if kids understand physics at all, but if you are pushed from a skyscraper and then somebody puts a portal at street level, which goes to a portal that is now rotated 90 degrees. You come out of that portal at the same speed, at that point, terminal velocity.
Oh, yeah, you still die.
Like, sure, they put hay bales in the barn to soften their fall, but those they were falling fast as hell. Like, I was like, there's no way. The only way to do it would be to like we've all played the game Portal, right? You got to throw the ring at the bottom and then throw the other ring at the other side, which launches them back up. And then right at the apex of when they're about to start falling again, then you throw a ring there and then they can just land on the ground. Like,
God, I want to play Portal again now.
Oh, but yeah, it was definitely, when that happened, I was like, no, they're dead. You can't just do that.
Yeah. But the realistic version, the dark Nolan version of the Sonic universe, where they hit the hay and then just explode, we're just not going to get to see that.
Yeah. I mean, if this was Project Adam or the Adam Project, we would definitely see them burst into colorful mist when they came out of that second portal. All right, Stephen, I think it's about that time for us to get to verdicts. If you're going to visit a must-see, recommend with the caveat, wait for rental, pass with the caveat, or must avoid, what would you give it?
So even though I've been more praiseworthy about Sonic 2 compared to Sonic 1, my feelings are very similar. I still walked out feeling very wait for rental. I felt like this was fine. I had a good time. Look, I smiled. It was nice. It'll get the job done for kids, and it has something for the parents to make them laugh. But it just goes right through you. Like I don't know. It still feels like there's something missing from this franchise for it to go to the next level to me and become a thing that I actually care about. So yeah, I'm a rental. I'm a stronger rental than 1. I like that they're making the universe bigger. I think they have a formula now they could keep using to generate further sequels, and I get how it could be fun, but I just kind of feel like there is not a lot of there in terms of the sentiment of kids movies, which is normally what I vibe with. This feels more like a blank canvas to make silly things happen in a kids movie, which is entertaining to watch, but just not the kind of thing that really has me recommending a kids movie to other people. So solid rental. It's fine. Totally fine. I wouldn't rush out to the theater for it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it's a rush out to the theater type of film. But I will say that, like, I think the improvement is so vast compared to the first one that I feel like I either have to retroactively knock the other one down a peg, or I have to bump this one up a peg. So,
yeah, I think I liked the first more than you. So to me, they're closer together than for you.
Yeah, I think the first one was sort of like, yeah, it was whatever. But I was kind of disappointed in it. And this one was like, yeah, you did all the things that I complained about before better. So I can't complain anymore. So I think for me, I'm going to give it a recommend with a caveat. Once again, I'm not saying you necessarily need to see this in theaters. You could wait for rental. But I think that this is a good step above what the first one did. And it just has so much more to play with, and I appreciate what it's trying to do a little more. So yeah, that is going to be our 700th episode, our double review of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Stephen Miller, if people want to find you throughout the week, where can they do that?
People can go to twitter.com/sdavidmiller or sdavidmiller.com.
People can find me at ChristopherInRealLife.com or Twitter.com/ChristopherIRL. You can find the podcast over at thespoilerwarning.com, where you get a bunch of the back episodes of the show. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on Overcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are found. If you want to know the episodes go live, you can follow us at Twitter.com/SpoilerWarning, Facebook.com/TheSpoilerWarning, or Instagram.com/TheSpoilerWarning. If you want to get a hold of us directly, you can send an email to fans@thespoilerwarning.com, or you can use the contact form on our site. Music for this episode will come from a track selected from artist.io, so hopefully you're enjoying that. And yeah, that's it for this week. We'll be back soon with more episodes, and hopefully, I know I've been saying this for the last several episodes, but hopefully a more normal release schedule moving forward.
I mean, I think you and I both now are fairly comfortable seeing things, at least at Alamo.
Yeah.
So maybe moving forward, there will be more of a standard, like, whatever came out that weekend, we review cadence. I feel like that's doable.
Yeah. It's definitely something we can probably do. So we will put in the effort, and hopefully you keep enjoying these episodes. All right, later.
Bye.
Game over.